So welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be going over how to assemble your NewStyle hybrid shutter frames properly. I want to let you know that the information that we're providing today also works for your Heritance hardwood shutter line that uses the same Hoffman key joint. So the tools that are required to assemble your frames, not too tricky. We've got ourselves a wood block here, and that's a maybe, but you also need a dead blow rubber mallet. So I want to show you a little bit closer the Hoffman key joint itself. The Hoffman key joint is the only attachment method you need to put the NewStyle shutter frames together. So most of your frames are going to come with one Hoffman key joint already in place with the key. The other side will come without. And there's two different methods of putting these shutter frames together. The first method is to lay them down upside down. So if you see here in this example, we have our shutter frames upside down. The decorative trim side is here, and this is we're looking at the back side of the frame. If you're going to assemble the shutters this way, we want you to make sure you're on a carpeted or a soft surface so you don't do any damage to the decorative front edge that your consumers are going to see. So this is pretty straightforward. We're going to take and we're going to put one side of our Hoffman key joint in the other, and we're going to press down and get it down as far as we can. So without putting too much pressure on, this is about as far down as the Hoffman key joint would go. So this is where our friend the rubber mallet comes in. We can either tap down until we get the Hoffman key joint flat, or this is where we can also take our wood block and tap down until the Hoffman key joint is flat. What's very important about all this, regardless of the method that you use to do this, is the way the miter looks on the front. So if we take a look at this, the miter looks pretty good from this angle, but where it's very revealing is if you look at it from this angle. So we want to make sure, as a point of emphasis on all your installations, to make your miters look as good as possible. So in this instance, where it looked pretty good from far away, when you get up close, you see I didn't do such a good job with aligning the frame just right. So it's going to take a little bit more massaging. Once we give it a couple more wraps with the hammer, we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll turn it back over again and bring our block in place. Give it a couple more taps, and now we can actually feel that, oh yeah, that's much, much better. So we turn it back over here and take a closer look again, and you'll see that we've now got the joint in much better shape. This is one of the things that your consumers are going to notice the most, is the way the Hoffman key joint aligns and the way the miter looks. It looks fantastic from the front. All right, so that is one method of putting these frames together. So let's take a look at another method. So say we're out and for some reason the factory didn't put all the Hoffman key joints in, and they might have sent them loose for some reason. Well, no big deal. You know, one thing to remember too is that Hoffman keys from Hunter Douglas come in many different sizes, right? So you have a longer one. This might be for a bifold or a bypass track frame, and then some medium-sized ones, and you also have small ones. And it's not unusual for some Hunter Douglas shutters to actually have multiple Hoffman keys. So if you take a look at this frame, this is the trim casing frame. This one actually has multiple Hoffman keys that keep it together, a medium and then a short. So whatever Hoffman keys come in your package, please know that those are the ones that you need to use for your installation. Okay, so method number two is, say we do not have the Hoffman keys actually pre-assembled in the frame. No big deal, and I'm sure you could figure this out very easily on your own. We're going to take the Hoffman key that did come, insert it as so. Okay, so it's sticking out quite a bit. We're going to take our mallet and go ahead and tap the Hoffman key into place. We turn it over because we always want to verify that our joint's looking pretty good. This one's actually not looking so good, so let's bring this in closer. And instead of showing you right now exactly how to make this look good, we'll focus on this a little bit more towards the end of the video and show you how to fix this. Alright, so there's a secondary method of installing Hoffman keys. The next thing we want to take a look at is if you have a sill frame. Many windows already have wood sills attached, and we don't want to cover them up with shutters. So what we do is we have a flat sill frame. And the sill frame attaches via the installation screws. So if you look here, this is our nice flat sill frame, right? It would sit and it actually butts and passes on the side frame here. What you want to notice here is that there's holes that are already drilled in the bottom of this frame. And in addition to that, there are holes that are also drilled in the side frame. All right, so that's nice. It makes installation very easy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab our electric drill and a couple of installation screws. And the thing that we do recommend you try when you're doing this, and let's get in a little bit more closely here so you can see it a little bit better, is when we go to insert these screws through the sill frame and into the bottom frame, we want to do this first. We want to just get the screw to poke out just a little bit, just like so. So let's go ahead and use both screws, and we'll get this one to poke out just a little bit as well. All right, so that's perfect. What this allows us to do is to accurately align our frame together before we actually lock down the screws. So we recommend that you do it this way. It is much easier. Instead of just taking a shot that you're going to get this screw right through and it's going to be perfect the first time. So let's go ahead and lock these down all the way. And we'll do number 2. All right, so what we're left with is a very, very nice sill frame. Let's pan out here so you can see it. All right, so we've got a perfectly aligned sill frame. Everything looks great. So that's the only time you're really ever going to use screws, when you put a NewStyle or a Heritance hardwood shutter frame together. All right, so we've got 3 that went just right. Let's say that something didn't go right. Maybe as you were transporting the frames from one location to the other, you bumped one and the joint actually broke. We want to give you a few tips and tricks here to help solve that problem so that you can assemble the frame, you can install it in the window, and you can leave the customer completely satisfied. Just because you have a broken frame doesn't mean you should abandon the job and ask to get a frame remade. So what we've done here is we're taking a look at one of our L frames. All right, and we're going to assume for this situation that we have lost the Hoffman keys. They're just not there. They weren't in the package. We lost them somehow or whatever. So what we decided to do with this is we actually took and we drilled 2 holes through the frame in the top. We inserted 2 installation screws that you should have in plenty supply. And while the miter's not perfect, it's tight and it's together. That's very important. So the one last thing that we want to take a look at is how to finish this. So now what we're left with, looking from the outside of the house, is we have a choice. We could look at something very clean, like this, with the Hoffman key assembled, or we're left with the giant hole. So one of the things that we'd love for you to take advantage of is using the fill sticks that come with your shutter kit. So every shutter that we supply is going to come with a fill stick. We're going to take this fill stick, cut it, and we're going to actually massage it into our Hoffman key joint. By doing that, we're going to hopefully fill up this entire joint. And by the time we finish it all off, it's going to look as though a Hoffman key was always there. So these are just a couple of tips and tricks for you to follow, just in case you get into one of those situations where you don't know what to do. You'd hate to have to come back to the house a second time. So we hope that you take one of these and use it to your advantage. So we have an excess pad here, and let's zoom in just a little bit so you can see what we've done. All right, so come in. So we filled in the hole, and for the purpose of this video, maybe we're not going to take it all the way through, but we want to show you how you can take these fill sticks and you can start filling in this joint and get it to the point where it's going to be acceptable to a customer. All right, so there you go. That's one way of fixing a broken Hoffman key joint. So let's take a look at a couple of other things you might be able to do. So just to take advantage of these situations, we have supplied in the Palm Beach shutter line L brackets. For some reason, if this joint's broken, it's okay to actually install an L bracket on the back of this frame with the screws from Palm Beach. It'll help keep the joint nice and tight together, and when you transport it, it'll be less likely to break. The nice thing is when we take this and we are actually going to put it up into the window, this L bracket's going to be hidden. So when we turn this over, the decorative trim of the shutter frame actually covers this L bracket that's behind. So that's another opportunity for you to go ahead and get the frame assembled, get it in the window, and move on to your next installation. What we'd like you to also do is to not forget that the NewStyle hybrid shutter in particular is capped in polyvinyl. You can also use Loctite glue and glue some of these edges together if you feel the need. So, with all the tips that we've shown you so far, we hope that you've learned a couple of things. And last but not least, before you leave any job site, walk the house thoroughly, make sure that everything looks good. If you have joints that don't look very good, it's okay to take some non-adhesive, bright white caulking. We prefer DAP, and actually go over the miters here and make them look nice. You clean it off with a wet rag, and voila, you have a beautiful clean miter. Or you can use the fill sticks that are provided, and you can go ahead and fill this in, and once you use your cloth and wipe it off, you'll have a very beautiful miter. Well, that's it for today. We thank you for stopping by. We look forward to seeing you again, and we hope your next installation is a successful one. Thank you.